Hey guys, today I'm going to be talking about the concept of fake it till you make it. This is a very common concept in the Western sphere, and I'm going to talk a little bit about how you can make it work for you despite the potential pitfalls. As a psychotherapist, I run into this concept quite a lot, and it seems like often people have different ideas about this, whether it can work, whether it's potentially harmful even. And so I kind of just wanted to make a video to clear it up, to give you my perspective as the therapist and also as the person who's used this in the past. So I kind of have it from both perspectives. And we'll kind of talk a little bit about some of the concepts that are applied here, some of the criticisms, and how you can maybe make it work for you. So let's get into it. So there's a lot of concepts that apply when it comes to this idea of fake it till you make it. So let's kind of clear the air, clear the fog a little bit, and work through these one by one and talk about them. So here we go. The very first is modeling. And this is a pretty central concept when it comes to behaviors and psychology in general. And this is the idea that things have to be modeled for us, that things don't really appear out of nowhere, that behaviors don't just spring from the ether, that we have to generally have seen something played out before to do that ourselves. Now, of course, this isn't true. The first guy to do a backflip must have just really blown his mind along with everyone else's. But you do really kind of have to see something to do it for most cases. And so when it comes to something like fake it till you make it, that's important because what are you faking? You have to be faking something. And that probably is something that you've seen someone do or a way that you've seen someone act that you're hoping to emulate. So it has to be modeled for you. And that's the first important piece. Another couple concepts, and I actually made a short about this last week, two shorts about this last week, and that's momentum and familiarity. These apply best on the back end of fake it till you make it because these are the things that you use to secure that behavior that you've been faking. Momentum will carry you. So once you've been faking something for a while, if you get it, if you nail it, if you're confident with it, it will continue. And the same thing with familiarity. If you're comfortable in a behavior, it's hard to break it. You have to sort of face the discomfort, get over the familiarity of the way that you've acted all that time before to embrace this new behavior, this new conception, this new way of being. And then once you've embraced that, that will eventually become familiar once the momentum has maintained it. So those two things sort of exist on the back end, but they're really important to making sure that fake it till you make it can actually work. Another concept that applies here and really applies everywhere. This is kind of it's a little funny because we don't see it as a psychological concept, but it's central to everything, and that's practice.
We talking about practice, man. What are we talking about? Practice? We're talking about practice, man.
You got to practice anything that we do. We have to practice. We had to practice speech, we have to practice emotion regulation, we have to practice expressing our values, communication. There's so many things that we have to practice and get better at through repetition and work. And that's kind of what the process of fake it till you make it is. You are practicing a new way of existence. And so it's not going to go well at first. It might feel clunky, you might mess it up, you might not fake it that well the first handful of times, but the more you practice, you may approximate the behavior or the way of life that you're hoping to approximate closer and closer until you can do it. And then you practice keeping that. Um, Practice is actually so important that this is what is on my board this week. Practice makes progress. We don't want to aim for perfect. That's not really a fair goal, but practice will bring us closer to our outcomes because it ensures progress through gaining those skills and embedding them. Another concept here when it comes to fake it till you make it is goal setting. What are you faking towards? We're not just, I would hope, we're not just faking random insular, like singular behaviors that we want to see. Maybe there's people out there doing that. I don't know. But essentially, you have to have a goal in mind to then want to fake to that goal. You know what I'm saying? Like you have to actually have some sort of exalted example, the model, as I've talked about, that you're aiming towards. So goal setting is pretty important. If you can't set a goal, then what are you really faking? Now it may feel like a weird goal because it's like a goal that you've extracted from someone else in the way that they just are, I guess. But that's fine. It doesn't really matter where you get your goals from as long as they seem like fair goals to you and they're aligned with your values and your intentions and your identity, then it's fine. This is a process of goal setting. The last one is another psychological concept. This one comes from the specialty of depression treatment, and this is called behavioral activation. Now, this is based on the idea that for the longest time, we have had sort of a false idea about depression and action. A lot of people have this idea that their thoughts maintain the behaviors of their depression, that it's because they feel lazy and crappy and not very energized is the reason that they're not going out and working out. But really, the more that we've researched this, it's kind of not the case. It's actually the people that are going and working out then feel good and energized through the endorphin system and through these processes of muscle building and energizing and, in the metabolic processes. They feel better after they do it. It's not before. And it's hard to understand especially for those of us that were really deep in a depression and felt like there was nothing we could well within ourselves to get out and act. We've learned this now that you actually do have to act first, that conclusions don't precede action. We act and then we conclude. So the action you took of staying in bed, then you've concluded, I feel crappy. Yeah. But if you took the action of going out and working out, you may have a different conclusion. And so we've done a little bit of kind of flipping the causation there, at least in the cultural milieu. The idea of behavioral activation has kind of allowed us to tear that down a little bit and see things as more of our behaviors lead our thoughts rather than purely our thoughts lead our behaviors. And so this is actually a really important thing when it applies to fake it till you make it, because you have to get out and actually do it. You're not going to talk yourself into the idea that you are some person that you've never behaved in that way. You can't tell yourself, oh, I'm the most suave guy that can chat up anyone and I can get out there and I can talk and I can move and I can groove. If you've never acted that way, it would be a delusion. But if you go out and it doesn't feel like you, it feels fake, it doesn't feel comfortable, but you go and you go through all the actions, you do chat some people up, whether your success is supreme or not. You go out there, you chat people up, then you dance a little bit, you have a good time, then you come home and you tell yourself, I'm the guy that can chat and move and groove. That's not actually entirely wrong because you did it successfully once. So you have to go out and activate the behavior. You have to try it before you can achieve it. That's why, in many ways, fake it till you make it is actually the core of personal change. You actually do have to have an exalted goal that you're aiming towards that you've never actually fully attained or lived out, and then you have to go do that. And then once you do that, that's when you make the adjustment to your identity, not beforehand. So that's a really important piece that I hope I kind of made sense of. Those are all of the kind of concepts that I think of that oscillate around this idea of fake it till you make it. There's a few things that I would learn or assume when I have a client interested in the concept of fake it till you make it, and I wanted to talk about that as well. So here's what it tells me when someone's interested in fake it till you make it. It tells me two things, really importantly. One is that they want to be different, right? They have some sort of goal. They have something that they want to change about themselves. They have a different way of living that they want to attain. So they're already in a motivational stage to make a difference. That's great. That's huge. I mean, that's everything. You're not going to change if you don't want to. Secondarily, they also know roughly what they want. It's not just that they feel some sort of undefined, ambiguous feeling that things need to change. No, they know, like, I want to be that. I want to be that person, or I want to act in that way. I want to achieve those things. I want to hit that identity, that persona, that representation, and I want to maintain that. And so it tells me that they're both ready to change and also they know what they want to change into. Those two things are huge. When we put those together, and whether it's we do it through fake it till you make it or slow counseling work, introspection, whatever it is, those two pieces are really important. And so I actually love to see when clients want to engage with this concept of fake it till you make it, because it means that they really have something in mind that they want to get to. And that's great. And usually we can get them there with enough practice. Now, every concept comes with criticisms, and so I wanted to talk about those as well, just to give a fair shake to both sides. The most common criticism that I see with this concept of fake it till you make it is an authenticity concern. Basically, people saying, well, if you're faking it, it's not going to feel like you, and you want to feel like you when you're doing these things. It relates a little bit to the things we've talked about before, is that you can't feel like something you've never done. And so that's one of the bigger sort of counter arguments to this idea of like inauthenticity, is that you can't really be someone you've never been. And so and so it's going to feel inauthentic. but you also probably feel inauthentic already. The fact that you have this ideal that you want to attain and you have this current existence that you want to move away from, it tells me that there's something about your current state of mind that feels inauthentic to you, or that you want to attain a more authentic existence through modeling, through faking it till you make it in this other way of life. So I don't see it as a big problem because authenticity is perception based. It's a perception based on the person you're engaging with, and it's also perception on you. Does it feel authentic to you when you're living that life? And here's the tough thing is that sometimes we have to feel inauthentic to ingrain certain behaviors and thoughts and actions that we can then feel authentic for engaging with. I know it's super complex and it's a little bit cart before the horse, but that's how it feels. This is always how it's worked. You know, when we're kids and we're walking around and we see the fireman and then we want to start swinging an axe, and we see, dad mowing the lawn and we're like, oh, and I'm going to push my little lawnmower with the little beads flowing around. Or we see mom vacuuming and then you get the little vacuum with the bubbles. So we've always been doing this. This is always how humans have learned, by looking at others, kind of putting things together, engaging in the behaviors that we've seen, and then kind of once you've acted out the behavior, you can determine if it's authentic. So if you try something, if you're faking something for a little while and it never really feels like you, it feels like it's always not quite right, then maybe you can take this criticism of inauthenticity and look into it a little bit more. Maybe you're not being authentic. And maybe that's part of the problem, is you're actually aiming towards an ideal that isn't in alignment with your values, or isn't really going to live out the ideal identity that you're aiming for. And so you try it out, put those pants on, they don't fit, take them off, try something new. That's okay. There's no pressure for you to be one way or another. I talked about this in a prior video. We are not the same person in every environment. We're not the same person every moment. So you shouldn't have to put all that pressure on you to act a certain way. You can try different things out. It's fine. The other criticism I see, and this one drives me a little nuts because I actually just hate the concept entirely. I'm working on a video on this, and I will put this out eventually. I just really want to make it a good video so I can be understood and not misrepresented. But that's the concept of masking. This is a term that's grown in popularity, especially recently. It's a term I dislike greatly, and it's because it's kind of based on a false conception of how identity works. And I touch on this a little bit in that prior video about who are you, but I'll get into this more when I release the video about masking. It's built an idea that there is a very core true you, and then the mask is everything that you put on top of you. But like I talked about a little bit in the prior video, there is no true you. You are a sort of ephemeral concept that is going to shift and change with time. It's going to evolve. It's going to be very different in this box than it is in this box than it is in the open air. You are not a singular concept. So to have this idea that there's a you and a mask that gets put on top of that, kind of a false idea. But I'll get into that more in the future masking video. Those are the two most common criticisms that I see, that it feels like an inauthentic way to go about life, to fake it till you make it. And I would agree if you're faking it forever, but that second piece, till you make it, is pretty key. You do want to make it eventually. And this is what I mean when I say that this can work. Because it can. You can act out a behavior that feels a little uncomfortable for a little while, facing that discomfort, working through it, and then it doesn't anymore. It feels like you. And that's normal. That's fine. That's healthy if that's something that you wanted. And so that's kind of how it works. You just try something, see if it works, see how it feels. And if you like it, if you like the way that people perceive you when you're acting that way, or you like the way that it makes you feel inside, or it's just really resonating with your sense of self, then ingrain that behavior, stick with it, and that's you. You can forget about 2 years ago when it was a fake you, because that's not, I mean, 2 years ago was so long ago. You are who you are now. It doesn't matter if you spent a year faking it, because you're there now. It's you. It's an ingrained behavior. It's reliable, and it feels like you. It feels like in alignment with this coherent sense of identity that you have that doesn't need to stay the same. It can evolve over time, and that's normal. So, to really conclude this video, I'm sure you're asking, so how do I make it work? And I gave you a lot of information, and I'm sure you've put together, for the most part, how to make that work. But let's really key in and just give you 2 steps. So here's 2 steps, 2 very simple steps that you can use in the context of this fake it till you make it so you can actually make it. So we can make this work. Here it is. 1, do it.
Just do it.
Fake it. Fake it every day. Fake it every moment. Take a break. Fake for a week and then, take a few days off, give yourself a break, fake again. I don't care. Fake, just do it. Do the action, do the behavior, engage with the thought patterns. Whatever you need to do it. Okay? Then, while you're doing it, after you do it, once it's being done, as it's being done, whatever. When you've ingrained that behavior, step 2, 1 is do it. Step 2, stop telling yourself that it's fake. Fake it till you make it has to eventually end in making it. So, part of this is truly a psychological trick of how sure you are in yourself that you've ingrained this behavior and how sure you are that you can make this an authentic piece of your identity, your core self. Because if you're engaging with this behavior and you're doing it for 6 years and you still feel that it's fake, it's going to be fake. It will always be fake because you perceive it to be fake. So this is ultimately up to you. Once you've engaged with the behavior, once you've worked hard to make that consistent, you have to actually switch it in your head to be like, no, this is me. I'm not faking it till I make it. I made it. So that's the biggest final piece is that once you feel like you're comfortable that you've really worked hard to get these behaviors concrete, accept them as you. It's roughly the you that you want to be, the persona you that you hope to show to others. Okay, you have to see that external representation mirrored in the internal and have a sort of congruency and harmony there to feel like yourself and to make this fake it till you make it no longer fake. Thanks for watching today, guys. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments.